senators to hold their fire on Obamacare repeal. With their Obamacare repeal plan inches from failure, Senate Republicans are white-knuckling their way into the weekend. And rather than panicking over passing a bill, GOP leaders are simply trying to find the votes to begin debate on it next week. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has no margin for error. 2 Republicans are already on record opposed to the key procedural motion, and a third would defeat it. McConnell and his allies are now urging GOP senators to at least let the bill get to the floor rather than preemptively killing the party's 7-year campaign pledge to repeal Obamacare. "We've worked a long time on it," said Senator Lamar Alexander, our Tennessee. "We've got a responsibility to address problems with Obamacare, and if people have better ideas, they'll have a virtually unlimited opportunity next week on the floor to make amendments to the bill and try to improve it." Republicans view a successful vote on starting debate, expected to be held as soon as Tuesday, as a victory in its own right, even if the bill dies down the road. Their strategy is to go one vote, one day at a time. And each day that a third senator, or pack of senators, doesn't oppose the bill, it's one day closer to an overall victory. Leadership also may be hoping that once the bill gets to the floor and faces a final vote, GOP senators will be unable to resist the pressure to repeal Obamacare. One Republican compared the strategy to New England Patriots coach Bill Belichick's infamous "On to Cincinnati" press conference, in which the coach ignored criticisms of the team's 2-2 start by repeatedly focusing on the next game in Cincinnati. The Patriots went on to win the Super Bowl. The White House is also working to get waffling senators on board with repealing Obamacare, which would give President Donald Trump his most significant legislative victory ahead of the August recess. Seema Verma, who runs the Medicare and Medicaid programs and has emerged as a key administration resource for the Senate effort, has been walking senators through the details of how a state stability fund in the bill, now with $182 billion, can help states drive down premiums. She is also attending the National Governors Association conference in Providence, RI, this weekend and is expected to pitch governors on the amount of flexibility HHS can give them. Vice President Mike Pence is also at the NGA meeting and is scheduled to meet privately with Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson and Nevada Governor Brian Sandoval, both of whom have raised significant concerns about Medicaid funding cuts in the bill and have sway with their GOP senators. One new problem has also emerged since the latest version of the bill was released Thursday. It is unclear whether only states that accept an amendment from Ted Cruz to allow insurance companies to sell policies that don't comply with key Obamacare standards would get access to $70 billion in new funding to drive down premiums. The amendment may have to be rewritten, further delaying the process, according to sources familiar with the matter. Republicans say McConnell will force a vote to start debate even if he knows it would be unsuccessful, which would force Republicans to decide which might be worse: Democratic attack ads for repealing Obamacare or anger from the conservative base and President Donald Trump if they abandon the cause. McConnell canceled a scheduled vote on the bill last month when it became clear the votes weren't there. But this time, Republicans say, McConnell wants to get people on the record and bring some finality to the Obamacare debate that has hung up Senate action for nearly 2 months. "There will be a vote, I'm pretty confident of that," said Senator Richard Burr, RN.C. "Everybody has to be responsible for the result of not doing something on Obamacare." Shortly after the modified bill was released Thursday, GOP Sens. Susan Collins of Maine and Rand Paul of Kentucky reiterated their opposition. Republicans assume Collins and Paul are never going to get to a yes, leaving leaders with no option but to get every other member of the GOP conference on board. There were some signs of progress for leadership Thursday. The modifications won the support of Cruz, who said he would vote to allow debate to start, assuming his amendment remains in the bill, and moved Senator Dean Heller from a hard no to the undecided column. About a half dozen other senators said they were undecided on Thursday. "It's much better from the standpoint of those who want to get to yes," said Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi, a close McConnell ally. "Much progress has been made. I think we can open debate. We've got to bring the bill up. There's a lot of movement toward yes." GOP leaders are also noting that under the special procedural tool Republicans are using to repeal Obamacare without threat of a Democratic filibuster, any senator can offer an unlimited number of amendments to the bill. On Monday, the Congressional Budget Office is expected to release a score of the Senate bill, providing fresh fodder for wavering senators to join the bill or jump off. The CBO is expected to score the bill without the Cruz amendment, and release an analysis of the amendment later. That could force the Senate to vote to start debate without an analysis of the whole bill, another political quandary for already jittery senators. "I want to see the CBO score and see what happens," said Senator Shelley Moore Capito, RW.VA, who declined to say which way she was leaning. "We're trying to get to the Medicaid issue more deeply, so I need to get into that in more detail. And there's still the whole Cruz amendment." Senator John Thune, RS.D., said that the chamber would potentially use information from the Trump administration to evaluate some of the bill if it takes CBO too long, particularly the Cruz amendment. That could provide fresh ammunition to Democrats' argument that Republicans are bypassing long-standing Senate norms to muscle through their repeal bill. His amendment probably will take the Congressional Budget Office a while to score. "We'll probably get feedback from HHS," Thune said. "We'll see what they come back with." House panel postpones Roger Stone's Russia testimony. Roger Stone won't be testifying later this month before a key House panel in its Russia investigation, according to the longtime Donald Trump confidant and his attorney. Stone last month had publicized the House Intelligence Committee's plan for a closed-door session July 24 to ask about his communications during the 2016 presidential campaign with Moscow-linked hackers and WikiLeaks, which had published personal emails stolen from Hillary Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta. But Stone's attorney, Robert Bussell, told Politico that a House GOP staffer called Thursday to explain there'd been an indefinite delay on the hearing. "For now, it's cancelled with an advisement it will be rescheduled at an unspecified time," Bussell said, adding that the aide told him it was the Democrats who wanted more time to gather documents to prepare for the hearing. Representative Adam Schiff, the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, appeared to confirm the delay during an interview with CNN on Friday, even while adding that Stone can still expect to get a request to appear before the panel. "Mr. Stone will certainly be coming," the California Democrat said. "He's very much a person of interest. The reality is we have a certain order in terms of receiving documents," Schiff added. "Our decisions on schedules are made on what's best for the basis of the investigation." Stone, a longtime GOP operative and one of the youngest members of Richard Nixon's 1972 re-election campaign, has also drawn the interest of the Senate Intelligence Committee, which started collecting documents from him in May. But the Senate panel's GOP chairman, Senator Richard Burr, also said last month that he wasn't sure yet whether he needed to call Stone in for a hearing. "To bring anybody in for an interview or for a hearing, you have to know what it is you want to ask them. We're not there with Roger Stone. We still have a very difficult time understanding whether he has anything to contribute to our investigation," Burr said. Stone during last year's presidential campaign was one of the most public of Trump's current and former advisors to talk about communications with Russia-linked affiliates. In March 2016, he said he was in touch with Guccifer 2.0, the hacker persona that U.S. intelligence officials say is a Russian front for channeling stolen documents but who Stone insists is not a Moscow asset, and boasted during the campaign about his contact with WikiLeaks. He also predicted on Twitter last summer that an October surprise was coming to disrupt Clinton's campaign, suggesting as well that Podesta would face scandal shortly before his emails started appearing on WikiLeaks. Stone has nonetheless insisted he's innocent of any collusion with Russia. Appearing Thursday on Alex Jones' InfoWars program, Stone criticized Democrats for pushing back the hearing date. "Justice delayed is justice denied," he said. "All of these hapless Democrat simps on the committee had no trouble in a public session defaming me, accusing me of being a traitor to my country, accusing me of being in and orchestrating the WikiLeaks disclosures, a complete lie, but they will not give me my day in court." "I'm outraged by this decision." U.S. officials probing Russian lobbyist who met Trump team. Investigators are concerned about a suspected Russian intelligence operative's role in a controversial 2016 meeting arranged by Donald Trump Jr. U.S. officials are examining what role a Washington-based lobbyist who they consider a Russian intelligence operative may have played in a controversial June 2016 meeting he attended between Donald Trump Jr. and a Russian lawyer. Rinat Akhmetshin, a dual U.S. Russia citizen, told the Associated Press on Friday that he attended the meeting at Trump Tower between Trump's son and Natalia Veselnitskaya, a politically connected Russian lawyer who the Trump team believed had damaging information about Hillary Clinton. Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and then campaign manager Paul Manafort also attended the meeting, which was arranged by Trump Jr. U.S. officials became aware of Akhmetshin's potential involvement in the meeting earlier this week. 3 officials expressed concern about his role to Politico and said they were probing it further as part of their larger investigation into ties between Trump associates and the Kremlin. Although Trump Jr. has acknowledged meeting Veselnitskaya, he did not disclose the attendance of Akhmetshin, a well-known figure in the capital's murky world of foreign influence peddling. The lobbyist's role raises new red flags for U.S. officials as they study whether and how the Kremlin might have sought to exert influence over the 2016 Trump campaign. One U.S. official referred to Akhmetshin as a known IO, or intelligence operative. In a March letter to the Justice Department, Senator Charles Grassley, Iowa, described him as having ties to Russian intelligence and alleged to have conducted political disinformation campaigns. Akhmetshin has denied those charges and declined to comment to Politico. His attendance, which several officials said they learned about from reporters, underscored concerns that the meeting may have been more closely directed by the Kremlin than its attendees have publicly suggested. It's also sure to bring more political pain to a Trump White House that had long denied any contact between the Trump campaign and Russians with a political agenda, denials that now appear false. Some experts also believe the meeting could put Trump Jr. into legal jeopardy even before the presence of a suspected former Russian intelligence official was known. Akhmetshin and Veselnitskaya, who is alleged to have indirect ties to the Kremlin, previously worked together in Washington, lobbying Congress against the Magnitsky Act, a bipartisan measure that imposed sanctions on several top Russian officials as punishment for the 2009 death in Moscow of an imprisoned lawyer who had exposed massive financial fraud. Investigators are scrambling to understand the full context of the previously undisclosed meeting between Veselnitskaya and Trump associates, which the New York Times revealed earlier this week. Among the questions investigators are trying to answer, one U.S. official told Politico, is whether Veselnitskaya was sent to meet with Trump Jr. on direct orders from the Kremlin. The June meeting at Trump Tower, which Trump officials say was brief and yielded no useful information, was arranged by a British tabloid reporter named Rob Goldstone, who now works as an agent representing Emina Galarev, a Moscow pop star whose father is a real estate mogul close to Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Agalorevs hosted the 2013 Miss Universe pageant in Moscow. President Donald Trump owned the franchise at the time, attended the event and befriended the Agalorevs, with whom he and his son, Donald Jr., remained in contact until at least January. In an email days before the meeting, Goldstone told Trump that Veselnitskaya had damaging information on Clinton, which Goldstone said was part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. Trump Jr. replied, "If it's what you say, I love it." Akhmetshin and Veselnitskaya worked together lobbying for a group called the Human Rights Accountability Global Initiative, ID.C. based non-governmental association that has lobbied against the Magnitsky Act, a 2012 law that sanctions Russian officials for human rights abuses and subsequently infuriates the Kremlin. Trump Jr. has said his meeting with Veselnitskaya was dedicated largely to discussion of issues related to that law, which is named for Russian lawyer and whistleblower Sergei Magnitsky, who died in 2009 after being allegedly tortured in a Russian prison. The existence of the controversial June meeting was rumored for months, but neither the Senate Intelligence Committee nor, according to CNN, the FBI, both of whom are probing potential ties between Trump's campaign and the Russian government, knew the details before the Times published its stories. Akhmetshin, whose lobbying tenure has included several high-profile efforts to promote the Kremlin's agenda in Washington, has run afoul of Congress in recent weeks. In a March letter to the Justice Department, Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley accused Akhmetshin of failing to register properly under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. According to a letter obtained by Politico, Akhmetshin told the Justice Department's National Security Division in April that he is properly registered and did nothing wrong. "It is my understanding," he adds, "that Veselnitskaya is not an agent of a foreign government or foreign political party." Akhmetshin told the Associated Press on Friday that he had been drafted into the Soviet Army and served from 1986 to 1988, but denied having any spy training.